Today we're going to learn how to teach others how to putt. So we'll have three different sets of teaching cue cards, and really you can build up on them. So the first one is meant for elementary years, and that's maybe where you want to stop. But even if you're in senior years or just an adult learning, you want to maybe think about these elementary teaching cues, and then once you've got the hang of that, then kind of move towards the middle years teaching cues and a couple of the new points that are added on. And finally, once you've got that all figured out and you feel comfortable with that, you can kind of think about the last set of teaching cues, the high school teaching cues, and putting it all together to make a nice, smooth putt.
To holding the disc, so making sure that they're gripping it with their thumb on top and either with their finger on the side just like this with three fingers on the bottom, or they can hold it kind of like a backhand throw, thumb on top, four fingers are on bottom, and our hand is again firmly against the disc. We don't want our hand kind of loose like that. So first thing is holding the disc, making sure the students have a proper grip. The next thing is on the first day is really getting them to flick their wrist towards the basket, and rather than just throwing it, and then having them face the basket. So elementary school, the first day often, I'm just going to even get them just to focus on make sure your body is facing the basket. If you already taught backhand, you would have taught them to be sideways to the basket when you're throwing farther. So we just want to make sure they distinguish for putting that they're facing the basket and that their eyes are on the target. So I'm aiming at the middle to 2/3 the way up of the chains. But again, for first aid, look at the basket, face the basket, and then flicking our wrists. For teaching them to flick our wrists, especially the younger guys, but even in grade 4 or 5, they think it's pretty funny. And some of them maybe they don't think it's funny, but that's okay. I enjoy myself. It's just having them practice flicking their wrists, and I'll even be a little bit silly, and I'll pretend my hand is a mouth talking to me, and my fingers are talking. You can see with my fingers right now, the mouth is talking to me. Hey, Mr. McGurry, or you can even get them to do it. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going? Hey, Melissa, how are you doing? And so getting them practicing flicking the wrist, so having them talking to themselves and then talking that way. So we're going to get them. Hey, Mr. McGurry, how's it going? No, not too bad, man. How's it going? And then having them bring their arm down, still with the hand talking to us, facing us. And then when they go up, the hand's going to be talking to the basket. So I'll get them to go, hey, Mr. McGurry, how's it going? Hi, basket. Hey, Mr. McGurry, how's it going? Hi, basket. Facing the basket, my eyes are on the basket. So then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show them that same thing. Now I'm holding my disc, I'm gripping it properly. Of course, I'm going to, especially for the younger kids, remind them the disc needs to be flat. It doesn't travel well if I'm throwing it like this or like this, so flat. But then I'm going to show them. Do you see my fingers right now? Are my hands talking to me? Yep. Okay, so I've got my wrist cocked, it's facing me, and you can see my fingers are facing me. And so, hi, Mr. McGurry, how's it going? And then when I release it, when I go up, I'm going towards the basket. Hi, basket! Flicking my wrist that way. So then I'll show them, hi, Mr. McGurry. Hi, basket. Same again, it's facing me. Hey, Mr. McGurry. Hi, basket. Hey, Mr. McGurry. Hi, basket. Really having them emphasize pointing and reaching for their chains that way. So that's the second thing. So first thing, facing the basket. Second thing, flicking the wrist and reaching for the chains. For elementary school, that might be where you leave it as. You can also add on, it's depending on where your students are, how old they are, how much time you're spending. You can really go to the next step, literally, by focusing on eyes on the middle of the basket, facing your body facing the basket, and having your hand that you're throwing with, that same foot forward, and the toe should be pointing straight at the middle. So then, now, another thing you can do, especially middle school and upper grade 4, 5, upper elementary, is focusing on keeping your arms straight. So down and up. down and up versus having flexion at the elbow joint. Because if you go like this, which is fine for the younger kids or really any grade, as long as they're having fun and they're having some success. But when you putt like this, there's so much variance of the degree of the angle of your elbow joint where you finish, because you can finish late and then you're putting that direction. You can finish early, and that's go early and you're putting that when you have the joint going like this. But if you go up and down, you can see that I'm always going to be going straight at the target. And then it's just the wrist that is bending and getting this wrist snap is the thing that is propelling the disc forward. So then I'll be maybe go at this angle so you can try and see. You can have a little bit of elbow bend, but your arms are essentially going up and down in a straight line versus. So up and down. Last but not least, this is more upper years, middle years, high school that you can really focus on, but using your legs for power. So when I am bringing the disc down, I'm leaning back onto my back foot, and then when I go forward, I'm pushing off. I'm using my leg to propel myself and get all that power, and that's going to allow me to go for farther putts and get more power. Essentially, you want to putt the same way with your arm, just in a nice smooth motion. If you're farther away, you actually don't want to be throwing it harder. You want to actually be putting more weight into your leg and using that to propel yourself and get more momentum and more power into your putt. So whether I'm this close, you can just see I just put a little bit of power in my back leg, or I'm a little bit farther. I'd like to be a little farther for this example, but you can just see I'm putting more energy. My arm shouldn't be going any faster, but it's just I'm putting more weight into my back foot.
Here's KJ USA Kevin Jones, and he utilizes another putt. It's called the straddle putt. So the straddle putt is where you place one foot behind the disc and then you have your other foot to the side. This really helps with obstruction shots, which you'll see in a little bit. He uses them often in other situations as well, which this is not as common, more a tool shot, but KJ USA uses them all the time. Here, let's watch.
Yeah, nice putt, dude.
Gibson just not saying, what is this? No way. Maybe a little bit more open of a line than we thought. It doesn't swing as much as I thought it might need to, but he still has to just dodge around. Eagle looks to be about 45 feet or so here. This is really going to test that circle 2%. Okay, never. That's a putter, an overstable one. An Eagle throws it forward. I love the names that Discmania comes up with. I just hadn't heard the Razor Claw yet. Okay. Paul McBeth's back, folks. Birdie opportunity on the prior hole. Combinating this one for 48 feet. Wow. All from about 60. Yeah.
Okay, how does that not get you fired up for some disc golf? Here are a couple activities you can do with students when you're learning to putt. The first one here is great for if you have multiple objects you're aiming at, buckets or baskets, and you want to split them up in groups, give them more reps.
3 steps back. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We're gonna look Is anyone in between us and the basket right now? No, there's no one in our way. So then we're going to look at each other and we're going to say, are you guys ready? And we're going to all count together to 3. And when we get to 3, we're going to try putting. Are you girls ready? So remember, down and up and say, hi basket. Ready? Down and up. Okay, ready? 1. You guys going to count with me? 1, 2, 3. Now wait, we don't go get our disc right away. We look, we make sure everyone's through, and then we all go get it at the same time.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Check out our other YouTube videos on my page here for teaching disc golf and other things, as well as check me out on Twitter and Instagram if you're looking to see some other ideas, and I'd love to learn from you as well. So follow along if you wish.